What if Sonic were in Counter-Strike? That absolutely preposterous question is what we are aiming to answer today. And you wanted us to answer because you clicked on this video. Yep. Welcome to Top 10 Gaming, the channel that dives into all things video games, including really odd what-if questions about everybody's favorite blue hedgehog and games that often take themselves way more seriously than anything Sega has ever done in the past decade. Today, our hypothetical pondering is focused on what would happen if Sonic the Hedgehog was transplanted into Counter-Strike. Before we dive in, let's break down these two franchises real brief. Counter-Strike is an objective-based game, a multiplayer first-person shooter where you play on one of two opposing teams, the terrorists and the counter-terrorists. There's different game modes, including planting and defusing bombs or rescuing and guarding hostages. Now the Sonic franchise, on the other hand, is a completely different breed of video game, much more cartoony. Sonic's games began as platformers. They didn't have much in terms of story back then. You were a blue hedgehog trying to defeat the evil Dr. Robotnik, who was threatening the land of Mobius and all of its cute little inhabitants with his evil robots and inventions and desire for power. As time went on, Sega embellished more and more storylines, many of which flat out sucked, all while hardcore leaning on the likability of Sonic and his pals in order to make the game sell. Now, to be fair, some of the more recent Sonic games are okay. And Sonic Mania was an awesome hit, which was also not developed by Sega. But regardless about your feels on the Sonic franchise or the trauma it or its fandom may have caused you, can't deny it. Sonic just doesn't fit in well with Counter-Strike. That brings us to our next point. Before we can dive fully into this hypothetical cluster of a what-if video, it's important to remember one key aspect. Now, Counter-Strike is a game that edges way more on the side of realism than Sonic and the Mobius universe ever has. Therefore, if we're diving into the world of Counter-Strike, we've got to play by that world's rules. That means if Sonic was in Counter-Strike, he would be more realistic. Now, this could be perceived in two ways. The first being is that Sonic is a real hedgehog, a little guy that fits into the palm of your hand. He ain't gonna be running around with assault rifles or snipers or bombs. He's gonna be too busy thinking about all the insect grub he is eating / wants to be eating. Somebody better tell Charmy B to watch out. Now, if this were the case, our pal Sonic would be very much at risk of getting blown to smithereens. And that's an unpleasant thought, because hedgehogs are cute when they're not in Sega games. The second way this could be perceived is that he's an actual anthropomorphic hedgehog, a full-blown hedgehog who stands somewhere between 4'5" and 5 feet in height, has opposable thumbs, is blue, wears real-life sneakers, probably Nikes, and has the capacity to pick up firearms and straight-up kill a While that in itself is weird enough, also consider this. We ain't talking no pleasant-looking BoJack Horseman anthropomorphic character here. Oh no. This Sonic would be incredibly realistic and have a realistic human-esque face going on. Perhaps this would be a fairly accurate representation of what he would look like. Whether or not Sonic would have some sort of advantage when it comes to speed in both of those scenarios is pretty debatable. If he were a real little hedgehog in the world of Counter-Strike, it'd be unlikely. There's that fan theory kicking around on the interwebs that suggests that Sonic's speed is actually relative to that of a real hedgehog. And considering that all hedgehogs run at similar speeds in the Sonic universe, although Sonic is the fastest, that could probably make sense. Robotnik in earlier games appears to run at very close speeds to Sonic when on foot, and Robotnik is a pretty overweight dude. So if we run with that theory, it would be fair to suggest that the actual hedgehog Sonic in Counter-Strike may be ever so slightly faster than a regular hedgehog, but in the grander scale of the game, his speed really wouldn't make that much of a difference at all. It would just be like, oh wow, look at that little hedgehog. It's like moving a little fast. It's a little unnerving. Like when you see a centipede and it moves really fast, it's like, ooh, that's unnerving, you know? In the case of the terrifying human-like Sonic, he'd probably have naturally enhanced speed, but nothing superhuman. He'd make for a more difficult opponent to take out, and if he was on your team, he would definitely be an asset, but his speed and agility wouldn't make him invincible. Okay, so what about the flip side of that? If Sonic had all of his abilities that he does in his universe, but in Counter-Strike, well, there would be no point to the game. Sonic could literally just zip around and take everyone out before they even saw what was coming. The best way to take Sonic out would be to rely on explosives, and to hope that you would get lucky and it would trigger at just the right moment in order to kill him, because he can be killed. Naturally, Sonic is the kind of character who would want to be on the counter-terrorist team. His goody-two-shoe nature and his constant heroics would mean that he would want to take the bad guys out. But the real world is much more complicated than the black and white good and evil of Sonic's universe. Sonic could easily be a terrorist, fighting against the humans who, without a doubt, would have treated him cruelly over the years because of his horrific-looking appearance, seeking revenge against the human race. He's basically like a ugly, unlikable X-Men, but evil. He would use whatever profits his terrorism brought him to buy gold, melt it down, and then turn it into a ton of gold rings, because he would clearly have a fetish for gold rings. And his bloodlust would be pretty savage, just cuz. So all in all, Sonic would be either totally useless or give your team a mild advantage in Counter-Strike, or be really annoying to go up against. You would probably be like super proud if you killed him. Be super satisfying. Now that being said, in older versions of Counter-Strike games, there's actually mods that you can get where you can put Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and other Sonic characters into the game. They don't have any additional benefits, they're just models. But if you ever want to kill a Sonic character in an incredibly satisfying and violent way, perhaps it's worth looking into. Alright, there we have it, friends. Got a silly Sonic Counter-Strike theory of your own? Give us a shout in those comments below. Want other weird hypothetical gaming videos? Well, we've got quite a few on our channel, including the totally semi-rational What If Sonic Were in GTA 5 video that you can head on over and check out. It also involves a creepy anthropomorphic Sonic idea that's like really weird and disturbing. If you dug this video, hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe to Top 10 Gaming for all of your gaming lists, news, updates, and sometimes really odd Sonic content. Thanks for watching, everybody. Catch you all in the next one.